Okay, today we discuss integration between FI and MM. This is an important area. And how it is done, let's see that. Just a second. Okay, valuation area. Now, these are some concepts that are important. There are main concepts that have to be understood before we can start our configuration for this. With this presentation, of course, you will understand how your understanding will be much better for FI-MM integration. So some elements have to be understood before we can commit to the configuration. So what is valuation area? It's, of course, the plant. It is the stock of a material owned by a company. That is an asset to the company. Valuation area defines the organization level. Now, what is that organization level? That is the plant at which materials are valuated. So SAP provides two options for valuation: plant level, company code level. So all materials in all plants. So at single plant, valuation can be different. At company code level, it can be different. So that also means what is valuation? Currencies. So at company code level, it can be in a different company, and the reporting currency will be different than the location of the plant where there is a different currency. So valuation at plant level can be a different currency. Valuation at company code level, where all plants are reporting to the company code, it will be valuated at a different currency with a different currency at company code level. This is defined in OX 14. Valuated stock, what is that? Total valuated stock is a stock in unrestricted use, which is available for consumption, for manufacturing, for dispatch, for shipping, for picking, which is unrestricted. Unrestricted means it is not blocked. It can be used for any purpose, plus stock in transit between storage locations, warehouses of a plant. So if there is a movement between storage locations, warehouses, between plant to storage, storage to storage, that stock is also part of valuated stock, plus stock that is blocked in quality inspection if goods received or material received at the manufacturing or at the warehouse or at the plant is blocked because quality inspection is the first step, then that stock is also part of the valuated stock. Material type. Now, material types are raw material, finished goods, semi-finished good, packaging, competitor product, samples. These are material types. Material types are defined during material master, during data creation. Material master data creation. Movement type. Now, this defines material movement from one place to another. Movement types enable system to find predefined posting rules which are already predefined by SAP. It determines how the stock and consumption accounts are to be posted. All possible goods movement are already defined in SAP. Like movement type 101, 101 is good receipt. Movement type is entered while posting stock movement related transactions. Stock movement from storage to plant, plant to storage, plant to customer dispatch, storage to storage, from raw material warehouse to semi-finished goods warehouse, and so on and so forth. Most of the time, movement type for purchase order or process order or production order, that is also one process. Most of the time, standard SAP automatically derives movement type based on transaction code. If you go to MIGO, which is goods issuance or goods receipt, default movement type 101, 101 is displayed by the system, which is in this transaction by default 101 is displayed. Valuation class. Now, valuation class is nothing but material types like raw material, semi-finished good, finished good. Based on this valuation, again, as I said, it's value. So value, financial value. Financial value comes from GL accounts. So valuation class dictates material types connected with financial accounts, GL accounts, so that the stock value is reflected in the GL accounts. Valuation class is defined for the combination of plant and material and accounting one view of material master. So value is relevant with accounting. So valuation classes, like for example, raw material is denoted or symbolized with the code 3000 standard SAP. Usually it's an industry practice, not hard-coded or set in stone. So valuation class 3000 is raw material, 7920 is finished goods, and so on. So valuation class allows posting of stock values. That's why it's valuation. So class is material type. So valuation of material type, which becomes a class, material type plus value, combination of that becomes a valuation class, allows posting of stock values of materials of same material type, which is raw material, to different GL account. A different valuation class is assigned in different plants for the same material. So, for example, if there are multiple manufacturing units, raw material as in pure raw material, like pure gems, which are uncut, will be pure raw material with a valuation class of 3000. Once it is cut at the first level and transferred to another unit for further cutting, for precise cutting, then the valuation class will be different for that plant, although it's the same material. So that raw material is now not refined, not semi-finished good, yet it's still raw from the semi-finished good standard. So it's still raw, but some work has been done on that. So that cut gem, not completely cut, is still a raw material. So the valuation class can be different, like 3001 for different plant in different plants. So materials of different material type, which is raw material, semi-finished, post to the same GL account, same valuation class is assigned to materials of different material types. So with the same gem, cut, semi-cut, or uncut, it can be assigned broadly 3000 valuation class for raw materials. So GL accounts can be defined at valuation class level along with other parameters. So GL accounts are defined at valuation class level. Valuation grouping code. Now, grouping code combines valuation areas, which is plants, having same business properties for the account determination. This reduces the number of entries to be created for automatic account determination for stock postings. Valuation area 1 and 2, which is plant 1 and 2, are required to be posted to the same GL account, for example, for good receipt. GRN, good receipt note. These are grouped to valuation grouping code ABC or 1190, as the example shows here. And GL is determined based on valuation grouping code and valuation class. So the GL determination is based on valuation class, which is raw material, and valuation grouping code if there are multiple plants. Before using valuation grouping code, it needs to be activated in OMWM. Valuation grouping code is assigned to valuation area in T code OMWD. In below example, 5 valuation areas are assigned to the same valuation grouping code. So this might be for uniformity of good receipt, good issuance. So grouping code will be going through the same GL, the same GL. Account modification and general, this is important. Now, account modification, what is account modification and general modification? Now, modification is account and plus modification. What does it mean? It's not GL account. It's basically the process modification. For example, materials can be used, can be for multiple purposes, like a cost center can consume it for its own use or for research or for quality inspection or research on competitors' products. So that is one account. Yeah, cost center is one account modification, or the material is going to be used for production order. That is another account. That is another process modification. The key is used to determine different GL account for the same kinds of goods movement based on origin and target. This key is used to determine different GL accounts. Now, production order is another one account and cost center is another account for same kinds of goods movement. Goods movement, good issuance or good receipt based on origin and target. Like during goods issue, offsetting GL is determined from the transaction key GBB. We'll see this in the transaction code OBYC. A business wants to post to different GLs for goods issue for cost centers, movement type 201, and goods issues to orders, that is production orders, movement type is 261. Okay, so these are hard-coded movement types predefined in SAP for the same material and plant. So there are two scenarios now. So account modification is scenario modification. So this is a different scenario modified. Cost centers and orders is another scenario modified for the same material plant. Account modifier can help here. To understand it better, let us go to the T code OMWN where we define the transaction key and account modification. So transaction key, what is transaction key? That is goods issue. And account modifier is cost centers or orders. So there is a combination of transaction key and account modifiers. Transaction key, which we OMW, where we define transaction key and account modifiers for the movement type. So three things: transaction key, GBB, which is good issuance; account modification, which is cost center of production order for the movement type 201, 261. Transaction key that we see in OBYC is determined based on movement type. Okay, goods issue, good receipt, consumption, price difference, stock difference, stock posting, inventory posting. These are movement. These are transaction keys. So that is a transaction. Okay. In below screenshot, you can see all parameters are same for movement type 201, 201, 261, except account modification. Okay. Now, value update. Yes, this is finance update. Valuation string. Now, this can be different as per the scenario. So, to understand it better, F1 help on different fields in the screen to know more about functionality of each field. And then we have transaction key, which is the process like goods issuance, consumption, stock inventory posting, good receipt. That is transaction key. Account modification is the treatment, whether it's being treated at cost center or production order or GL or whatever. When a material document is posted with these movement types, offsetting account is determined from transaction key, GBB, based on account modifier and valuation class. Okay. From this screenshot, you can see that different offsetting GL account can be determined for the same transaction key and valuation class. For example, GBB, good issue, VBR, ZOF. Valuation class, this is raw material or semi-finished or finished goods. So the GL accounts will be different. Okay, for account modifier. So at account modifier level, this is the molecular level where you're determining whether this is consumption at cost center, and ZOF is basically for price difference, but let's say it's production order. By default, SAP standard defines account modification keys for below transaction keys. User-defined keys can also be defined and respective account determination settings can be maintained. Offsetting entry for inventory posting, price difference, consignment liabilities. Below are modification keys defined by SAP. Now, for GBB, now GBB is one process. Under that process, we have subsets. For transaction or event. Now, event, good issue is an event, good receipt is an event, consumption is an event. Inventory posting is an event. GBB, offsetting entry for inventory posting. The following account groupings or account modifiers have been assigned to relevant movement types. AUF for good receipt for production orders with account assignment. Okay, account assignment means account assignment can be cost center as well, but not consumption, but it's good receipt. BSA for initial entries of stock balances under GBB. INV for expense revenue from inventory differences. VAX, good issue for sales orders without account assignment models. VAY with account assignment object. For consumption, DBO from stock of material provided to vendor. So consumption, basically material sent to vendor for subcontracting. From that, the consumption can be done through VBO. And so GBB is inventory posting. Under inventory posting, we can post these scenarios. VKA for consumption for sales order without SD, sales distribution for without sales order. VNG for scrapping, VQP for sampling, ZOB for good receipt without purchase order, ZOF good receipt without production order. Yes, Saad.
So, Varid bhai, do we have to configure these as an MM consultant, or the FI
Yes,
consultant will
both,
do it?
both will configure this because FI consultant will provide the GL account. Okay, modifiers for PRD, which is price difference. If you activate account grouping for price difference, then you make the settings for automatic postings. The following account groupings are already assigned to relevant movement types. So it's already predefined, but you just have to plug in the GL accounts. In the standard, none for good receipt and invoice receipt for purchase orders. There is no price difference because at purchase order level, there is no financial entry or movement or financial impact. For good receipt, when GRN is done for production orders, then PRF is the account modifier. For good issues and other good movements, we use PRA when it is price difference. Modifier for KON, which is consignment. If you also activate account grouping for event or transaction, consignment liabilities, then you make the settings for automatic postings. The following account groupings are already assigned to relevant movement types in the standard. None for consignment liabilities, PIP for pipeline liabilities. Pipeline is used in manufacturing like automobiles and beverages and oil and gas. How are the account determination attributes determined for each transaction key and event? So if you observe, different set of fields appear for different transaction keys in OBYC while maintaining GL account. This is defined in rules for the transaction key. Select transaction key AUM and OBYC and click on rules in toolbar. We'll just see that. You can see that general modification and valuation is active. Okay. So what is valuation modified? That is based on your material type. General modification, again, we have already discussed. General account modification. So if you go to GL account menus for this key, you would see the same fields: valuation, general modifier, debit and credit, GL accounts. So quick snapshot. When we do material posting of valuated material, this is the flow. Movement type and other attributes like special storing indicator, movement indicator are determined based on business transactions like good receipt for PO, production order. This is defined by standard SAP. Transaction key or event and account modifier is identified based on movement time and other standard attributes in step 1, OMWN. Valuation grouping code activation is checked from OMWM. Effective for given valuation area, valuation grouping code is identified from OMWD. For the identified transaction, check if valuation grouping code is active and not. In OBYC, click the rules button. Valuation class determined from material master based on the above identified attributes. Select GL account from OBYC. If the system can't find any account for account attributes, stock postings can't be done as system through clear error stating for which combination of attributes the GL is missing. Such errors are mostly seen during go live while posting to new material due to missing GL account maintenance due to incorrect valuation class and material master data. Now you know the process. Here is a shortcut to find the GL. Account determination details are stored in table T030. You want to know based on what details GL account is determined, simply give the GL in 2030 field. In field cons, this gives the possible combination of entries where GL assigned. We can further drill down based on the filtered activities. Okay, let's
अच्छा, एसडीक्यूटी तो है अपनी जगह पे।
होगा मेरा ख्याल में। ओके, OBYC, OBYC. Now this is a transaction. Page down. BSX is inventory posting. GBB, offsetting entry. GBB, chart of accounts. SDQT. Okay. Now, since nothing is defined over here, let's take chart of, okay. Debit credit, this is for GL accounts. General modification, valuation class. This is again material type. Okay. General modification, that is the event for production orders, for purchase orders. That is the process. Okay. So GBB, offsetting entry for general modification like purchase orders, cost centers, production orders. That is general modification. Valuation modifiers, no documentation is available. Okay, let's save it. General modifier. No values found. Valuation class 3000. And here goes the GL entries. General modifier. What we can do is the OBYC. Take another chart of accounts. SAP. Okay. Debit credit, valuation class. This is also not defined. OBYC. GBB. Let's take up another example. For example, Infomine is Orient material. Let's take any random that might actually look. Dani. Oh, this is also not configured. Indeed, this is not configured. Okay, let's configure from GBB, AUF. Groupings, okay. GBB. Valuation class 3000. General modifier. This will be good receipt production orders, sales orders, VBO, VBR, internal good issues for cost center, VBR, and scrapping, sampling. For good receipt, ZOB 3000 over here. What else? Okay. Company code, SDQT. So what do we have? Raw material, retained earnings, ROH consumption, inventory, movement, and we need offsetting entry for setting entry for inventory posting. So we'll have to create one. Okay, let's first create that. This is going to be an intermediary auxiliary account. These accounts, GRIR account, consumption. We can rename this ROH, offsetting entry. Raw material. House 909. This is ZOB, good receipt without purchase orders. Okay. And copy this. 909, 919, 929, 909. Okay. 910. Receipts without PO. Or we can also universalize it instead of, yes. So based on, instead of actually doing this, we'll cancel this. Okay. We'll universalize it because it will give, if we start making different GL accounts for every transaction, that the quantum will be huge and reconciliation will be difficult. Okay. So offsetting entry, we'll make another for consumption later on. Now, setting entry, control data, and valuation group. GRIR accounts are open item managed. If you look at it, open item management. Offsetting entries, because this is auxiliary accounts, we don't need balances of auxiliary accounts. This will be post automatically, and you can material accounts, adjustment accounts, inventory adjustment, G025. Okay, let's save it. GBP is done. Now, PPD, PRD. Now in PRD, we have PRD. We have PRF for good receipt for production orders. Yeah. We can add for good receipt, we can have a universal account because we created one for GBB. That was good receipt without purchase orders and without production orders. So good receipt can be the same. Okay. For good issues and other good movements, for example, debit, credit, general modifier, valuation class. Save. Modifier. PRF 3000. Oh, 511. PRA 3000. Save. Yeah. Consignment. We don't need that consignment right now. And what else? Gain loss from revaluation. This is also another important area. Okay. GRIR clearing account. Plus. What are oh no, we don't need. Okay, the rules. We only need valuation class and okay, valuation class 3000 and our GR account is 500, 900. And of course, valuation class for semi-finished goods and finished goods will be different as well. And that's how you integrate FI and MM. Next time we'll create a purchase order. Okay. So let's call it a day. I hope integration is clear